The Flower Shop block of the month, March flowers. How to sew the Shopaway bag.
Hi, I'm Rebecca from Amber Makes, and we've designed this beautiful daffodil tote bag. It's got a vase of daffodils on the front, a hand-tied bouquet on the bottom, and it's great to take shopping with you and pop over your shoulder. But even cleverer, it's got this little triangular pocket at the bottom, so you can fold it away. All you do is fold the bag inside. You don't need to do anything special or do any folding of handles. Just pop it inside, pull up the drawstring with a little spring toggle, and there you go. Pop it in your handbag. I'm going to show you how. It's really easy, so follow me.
Cutting out. First, open up your panel and you can see all the pieces on it. An extra flower arrangement piece has been included to use in your quilt, so cut this out and put it to one side. Now cut out all the fabric pieces, remembering to cut out the label above each one and pin it to the top to remind you. There's lots of pieces on this panel, including extra pieces like the charm squares and the flowers and gift tags that you can use in your own makes. Making the pocket. Use a 1/4 inch seam allowance for making the pocket. Take the pocket casing front and turn it so it's wrong sides up. Now you need to hem the short edges. So turn over one short edge by 1/4 inch to the wrong side. Then turn it over 1/4 inch again to encase those raw edges and pin it into place. Now repeat this at the other short end. An easy way to measure this is if you measure 1/2 inch, that's double your 1/4 inch, and place a pin there. If you then fold the raw edge over up to that pin, that's exactly 1/4 inch. If you fold it over again, then you've turned the edge over twice by 1/4 inch, pin it into place. Now top stitch down those both side edges to hem. Now fold the pocket casing front in half lengthways with wrong sides facing and press. Take the pocket triangle front and fold that long diagonal edge in half so that you can find the centre. Make a little crease, then open it out and take a pin and mark this centre point. Take the pocket casing front and fold the long raw edge in half to find the centre. Make a little crease and pop a pin in to mark the centre point. Place the pocket casing front right sides together with the pocket triangle front, matching those centre pins and making sure the raw edges match up. Now pin it into place all the way along. You will notice that the points of the pocket triangle front will extend beyond the edges of the pocket casing front, but that's fine, it should be like that. Now stitch the pocket casing front to the pocket triangle front all along the pinned long edge. Now press that seam open. This will just help it to lie flat and it will make it easier to fold under later. Press it all the way along, including the little points that are sticking out as well. They need to be pressed under too. Now fold the seam allowances of both pieces of fabric so they face towards the pocket triangle front, pressing the points that stick out under by the same amount too. These will be stitched into the bag seams later. Once you've completed the pocket front, take the pocket casing back and the pocket triangle back and repeat it in exactly the same way to make the pocket back. Attaching the pocket. take the bag front and place it right sides up. Then take the pocket front that you just made and place that right sides up on the bottom right hand corner of the bag front. Now match the bottom raw edges and the side raw edges and that bottom corner. Pop a pin there to hold it in place. Then pin the bottom edge, making sure the raw edges match up, and then pin it together along the side, again making sure that those raw edges match up. You're going to tack it together along the side and across the bottom. Once that's done, turn it around, and just to make sure that that top of the pocket stays in place, pop a few pins through the bag front and the pocket triangle, about 1/2 inch down from the seam, just to hold it in place. And then you're going to stitch on top of the casing. Place it under your sewing machine and try and stitch right in on top of that seam that joined the casing to the triangle. If you stitch on top of the seam, you'll get a neater finish. You won't be able to see the seam, and also you won't work into the casing at all. So just work slowly and carefully and try and get your needle on top of that seam, reverse stitching at the end to finish. Now that's done, you've got the casing ready for later. Take the bag back and the pocket back and pin, stitch, tack it into place in exactly the same way as the front, but in the left-hand corner this time, so that they meet up when the bag's joined together. Assembling the bag. Use a 1/2 inch seam allowance for making the bag. Take the bag front and the bag back with the pockets attached and place them right sides facing. You need to match up all the raw edges along the sides and across the bottom. To get a neat finish, make sure those triangular points at the edges of the pockets meet up. So make sure they meet, then pop a pin at that point to join them together, and then repeat that on the bottom edge to make sure those triangular points meet up, and pop a pin in here. Now pin the bag together all the way round, matching the raw edges as you pin. Pin it together all the way down this side, and then across the bottom, and then pin it up the other side. Now you can stitch the bag together. Once this is done, you'll see that you've got lots of raw edges all the way around. The bag isn't lined to keep it nice and lightweight so it can be stowed away. You need to neaten the raw edges to stop them fraying. You can use a machine zigzag for this, an overlocker, or pinking shears like I've done. Then you'll have a neat unfrayed edge inside your bag when it's finished. Making the handles. Use a 1/4 inch seam allowance for making the handles. Take one handle and fold it in half with right sides together, matching the raw long edge. Pin it together all the way along the edge, making sure those raw edges match up. Once it's pinned, then stitch it together. Once it's stitched, press the seam open and flat. You'll need to turn it around slightly so the seam lies in the centre. This will help you to get the seam laying right on the edge when you turn it right sides out in a bit. Now the easiest way to turn out a tube is to use a turning tube, like this. You pop the plastic tube all the way inside, all the way to the end. I tacked the end when I sewed it, just using a long stitch. It helps to turn it right sides out. Using the blunt end of the stick that comes with the turning tube, push the stick all the way through until the tube comes out the other end and your handle is turned right sides out very quickly and easily. You can undo those tacking stitches at the other end to make a whole tube. Now rearrange the handle so that that seam lies right on the edge. Because you pressed it open earlier, this will be really easy to do. Give it a press so it's nice and flat, then top stitch all the way along the top long edge and top stitch all the way along the bottom long edge. This will neaten it. When this is done, trim off just a little bit off each end. This just helps you to give you a nice neat edge. It's easier than when you sew it to the bag. So that's one handle done. Take the other handle strip and make it in exactly the same way to make a pair of handles. Attaching the handles. Turn the top raw edge of the joined bag front and bag back under by 1/2 inch to the wrong side and press. Now turn it over again, but by 1 inch this time to create a double hem and press. Now arrange the bag so that it's lying flat with the bag front at the top, and just so that left side seam is a little way in from the left hand edge, and open up the pressed under hem. And take your tape measure, and from that left side seam mark with a pin 3 inches near the fold at the top of the bag. Then measure and mark again 3 inches, just a little bit way down from that, about 2 inches is okay. Take one of the straps and place the short end right up to that folded edge and pin it into place. Then pin it into place a little way down. This is just to hold it straight during assembly. Now you need to fold the hem over that strap, so remove the pin you put in, making sure that everything stays still, and pin it together across the top. Make sure the bag front isn't pinned to the bag back like mine is. Reposition the pin if it is. Now rearrange it so the right side seam is on the right hand side. Open up the hem in the same way. Measure and mark with a pin 3 inches inwards from that right side seam, and again measure 3 inches inwards, just a little way down. Take your strap and make sure that it's straight and isn't twisted by running it through your fingers. Place the short end right up to that fold so it lines up with that 3 inch pin mark, and pin it into place. And then pin it into place just a little bit way down as well. Remove that pin, keep everything still, fold the hem over and pin it into place. And reposition the pin if you've pinned the front to the back. So that's one strap attached. You now need to attach the other strap to the bag back in exactly the same way, measuring 3 inches in from those side seams each time. Once that's done, you then need to stitch along this bottom section of the hem, just a little way up from it, all the way around through both ends of the two handles. Now that's done, you can see the handles are very securely and neatly encased inside the hem, but obviously they're facing the wrong way at the moment. So what you need to do is fold the handle upwards, just so that it's nice and flat, is laying straight and doesn't pull the bottom of the hem at all, and pin it into place. Repeat that with the other strap. This gives you really neat straps without any raw ends, and there's several lines of stitching so they're extra secure. Turn the bag over to the bag back and fold the ends of the straps in the same way, pinning them into place. Again, make sure that the strap is facing upwards but also straight so that you have neat straps when you're finished. Now to secure these straps and neaten, top stitch all the way around the top edge, around the top of the bag. That will neaten the top of the bag. It will make the handles face upwards and will give you a neat finish as well. So once that's done, you've finished attaching the handles to your bag with a nice, neat, strong finish too. Finishing off. Once your bag is finished, turn it right sides out and press. Now take some narrow cord and attach one end into a small safety pin. The casing is quite little because you don't want a lot of bulk in this area, so you need to use a small safety pin that will fit through. Now starting at the top right hand section on the bag front, thread the cord all the way through the casing. Just ease the safety pin through and give the rest of the casing a little pull to get the cord to go all the way through. Once you've got it all the way through the casing on the front, turn the bag over to the back and thread the safety pin through the bottom of the pocket casing on the bag back. You'll have a little loop between the front and the back. Continue threading it all the way through this casing, easing the safety pin through as you go. Once it's all the way through, you can take the safety pin off the end. Now hold the two ends of the cord together and just adjust the cord so that you remove the gathers so that the cord's lying flat. Now take your spring toggle and you need to thread both ends of the cord through the toggle. The way to do this is if you press the top of the toggle, it releases the spring and then a little hole appears. Thread both of ends of the cord through there. It can be a little bit fiddly. You might find it easier to thread one at a time or snip the ends so that they're nice and sharp. But if you persevere, then they will go through. Once you've got both ends through, tie the two ends together in a knot and give it a really good tug so it's secure. You can now ease out all the gathers because your cord is secure and won't come undone. Move the toggle to the top near the knot, making sure that the cords are the same length, and then you can pull it all nice and flat. Once this is done, just trim the ends off to neaten. And your bag is now all finished and ready to go shopping with. But obviously, this is the Shopaway bag, so you now need to fold it all together. You can fold it or just push it inside. Try and make sure the handles are enclosed, but you don't have to do anything special. Push it all inside that triangle pocket. Once it's all inside, pull up the drawstring, move the spring toggle down to secure, and your Shopaway bag is neatly folded away. You can pop it in your handbag, ready for when you next go shopping.